conversation. Tonight, we're particularly thrilled to have with us the extraordinary Mr. Blair Underwood. Now, a man whose career is an expanse of over 3 decades and is still going strong. Mr. Underwood, we here at the Robey Theatre Company welcome you. And when it was announced that you'd be joining us, our audience expressed great excitement and pleasure for you coming onto the show. So I'm just going to delve right into our first question. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Melina. What's going on? It's good to see you.
Hey, I'm good. Good to see you too. Everything is everything.
Everything is everything. Let me thank you for that introduction and thank Crystal for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And we definitely appreciate
you. Won't respond, but I'm just saying thank you anyway. So I'm giving you a shout out.
Thank you. Thank you.
It takes a team to pull it all together. And we are just so excited to have you here. And as the audience is filling up, and even people that I reached out to directly, they were like, oh my goodness, what do I have to do? I'll make a donation. How do I just log in, register? And of course, we're a nonprofit, so absolutely donate, but just come on, join the conversation. We're going to have a good time.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here.
Well, I'm glad, you talk about raising money, and I'm so inspired by what, Ben Guillory and Danny Glover and what all of you have done over the years and continue to do, even with this conversation right here at the Robey Theatre. Just the work of the theater, specifically the Black theater, and specifically the Black theater in this city of Los Angeles. Just the work that you have continued to do. I talk to Ben often. I had, talked to him a couple months ago. I just wanted to give him props and encouragement to keep doing the work, because we need it. We need that expression as artists. And we always know this, but we know even more so during this pandemic, we need it as an audience member to be entertained and to be able to escape in certain ways. And it's a different beast, the live theater, than television and film, obviously, even as a consumer and as an audience member, but it's badly needed.
Absolutely. And we thank you at the Robey Theatre Company because you're on our board of advisors.
Yes, ma'am.
So your support, I'm on the board of directors, you're on the board of advisors, it takes an army to make it go. So thank you for what you do for us. It's a whole lot.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Now, speaking of Broadway, I'm going to first take a moment to congratulate you on your nomination, your Tony nomination as lead actor in a play for A Soldier's Play. Yay!
Yeah, thank you, Melina. Thank you.
So now it's my understanding that Broadway will be reopening in time for the Tony Awards. That's what word on the street is.
You may understand more than I understand. I heard they were pushing it back. They pushed it back a few times. When Broadway shut down March 12th, 2020, they were talking about, maybe we'll open up in April. Who knew we'd be here a year later still in the pandemic. And now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which is nice. I've heard June. I've also heard maybe September. So the official word is June 2021 right now. So, we'll see. Of course, we'll see in terms of vaccines and how, if the numbers go down, especially in New York City, but all over the place. So, we'll take it one day at a time. But I look forward to when it comes back, and not just Broadway, but just theater and theater everywhere, just live theater.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you think? Just randomly, what do you think how will it be different with the reopening? Just as far as an audience and also from an actor's perspective, because it's definitely going to be different. Like now I know in film and television, people are in pods and in masks before you go on stage, and nobody's allowed to have a studio audience. So when it reopens, it's going to be different. Just what are your thoughts on that?
Well, just what you said, Melina, and you're right. It's been 7 or 8 months now that Hollywood's been shooting film and television. So there's a certain rhythm to it that people are really getting and understanding how it works. That different rhythm is live theater. And it's not so much what's going on the stage, because I have some friends a friend of mine who's a choreographer who's directing and choreographing a piece right now. So like we do on a TV set or movie set, they're doing that now in rehearsal. The change and the unique part is going to be the audience. It's the live audience. When people are going to feel comfortable to sit shoulder to shoulder in a theater, is going to be a whole different beast. And people really have to feel confident. And we've seen that a couple of stutter steps in the last few months in society, where they'll open up a movie theater or they'll open up restaurants. And here in LA, they had indoor dining, then we closed it down. So you could open up businesses, but until people feel comfortable that they're not going to catch this virus, they're not going to go out. So it's coming, it'll happen, but I think it'll be a gradual thing. It won't be like somebody turning on the switch. It won't be Broadway saying we're open. It's going to be the consumer and the population and society saying we feel comfortable enough to come to the theater and sit side by side. But it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And I'm confident in that, because not unlike people say, like, will we ever shake hands again? Will we feel comfortable to hug again? I think without a doubt, because it's who we are. It's human nature. So that time will come.
Well, I think so too. I really do. And obviously we here at the Robey Theatre Company are absolutely looking forward to that coming, to theater getting back on its feet and getting back to serving the community. Because I mean, that's what we are here. We are a community-based theater company, blessed enough to be around for 27 years, as you know. And as a matter of fact, we are doing Othello. And I know you did Othello at one point. Ooh. And yes, you played Othello, and now this time Ben Guillory is playing Othello. Hopefully you'll be able to attend if your schedule allows.
No, I'll be there no matter what. Othello was one of my favorite Shakespearean plays. And, you know, that's one of those roles, and Ben and I talked about this, that I could not wait to get on that stage every night to play that role. The entire play itself, but especially that fifth act, because the character of Othello really it demands of an actor every aspect of who they are. It's physical, it's emotional. You hit almost every emotion. You can go from the highest sense of puppy love and naive love, idealistic love and passion and bliss.
It is truly a demanding role, but you know, Ben is a very, very accomplished actor. So I'm looking forward to see what he's able to do with it too.
I'll be taking notes.
Okay, Ben, you hear that? You have a student. So I'm just going to jump to a quick topic that's a hot button subject right now, and that's systemic racism. It's everywhere. It's very disturbing, you know, as people of color know, and now that it's coming to the forefront of everybody's consciousness and awareness, that's good. And now it's time for change. You know, awareness is one thing, change is a different subject. So I'm just wondering if you can share anything as it pertains to the entertainment industry, or personally you have experienced in your career with dealing with systemic racism.
Well, listen, when I got into the industry in 1985, I moved to New York. And I did that show where in the early clip, it was called LA Law, about Los Angeles lawyers. And I was 21 years old at the time. That's why my voice was so high pitched, like a kid. But at that time, there were very few African Americans on television. You know, to me, it was, you know, it's contemporary. The world in which we live, it's contemporary. We're present day, we're progressive. But, you know, of course, with the distance of time, that was the early 80s. And it wasn't that far. It's 20 years from the 1960s. So LA Law was very groundbreaking in a lot of ways. You know, we had only the second interracial kiss. It was me and an actress, a white actress, Cecil Hoffman, initially, and that made all the entertainment news. It was newsworthy, it was noteworthy, it was controversial, and we had the first lesbian kiss on LA Law. So LA Law broke a lot of ground. Now those things, in terms of how things have changed, and in terms of your question about systemic racism within the system, the fact that we were not represented like we should have been, then tells you that the system leans a certain way. Now, if you want to say it's malintent, that it's racist at its heart, or it's just neglect, one or the other, we weren't represented. Now, literally, you look at television commercials, which speaks almost louder, because you're dealing with people's idea of what will move their product in the commercial world. What will it affect the commerce if I put a black man and a white woman, or a white man and a black woman? Literally almost every third commercial has an interracial relationship now, and same-sex marriages and relationships are represented, even on the Hallmark Channel. So the world has changed, but and the world is continuing to change, but that doesn't just happen overnight. It happens when people make noise and people aren't afraid to speak truth to power. And in light of such horrific deaths like George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor this summer, what that did was bring, you know, that kind of pain and injustice, or lack of justice, to light. And these are things, you know, whether it's LA Law or my own life. I mean, I've been stopped by the cops a number of times over the years. I had a gun put to my head and by a police officer, you know. So we have it, you know, it's not unusual. So, even what happened to George Floyd, Black folks weren't surprised by it, maybe shocked that it was filmed. But it was good to see a multiracial response to what happened this summer. So we just got to keep the pedal to the metal, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Absolutely, absolutely. But say that again.
We're squeaking right now as a people, as a community.
Yes, we are. With the protests, marches, Black Lives Matter. Yes, we absolutely are. Now, I'm going to go back to something that you said, because I know a lot of people are like, wait, hold up. You had a gun pointed to your head?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to hear more about that? All
right. Yes. I mean, I'm just so speechless, like, as the moderator, I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, almost any brother I know, especially at my age and generation, that's happened to, and even this generation. So yeah, no, that one particular time I was driving home in downtown Los Angeles, mid 80s, and the cop stopped me. I pulled over, and I had an attitude. Because I was like, why are you stopping me? I know I didn't do anything wrong. And so I was I wasn't really mouthing off, but I did have an attitude. And he comes up to me and says, "This your car?" I said, "Yeah, yes, it is." He said, you have license and registration?" "Yes, I do." And at that point, he put the gun to my temple, and he said, "This is no BS," though he said the full word. He said, "Not playing." So in that moment, he could have pulled the trigger and I would have been gone. So what it said to me, and this is now, I have a 19-year-old son, I have a 23-year-old son, and a 22-year-old daughter. My boy, we've all learned, I've taught them all of this, but especially my boys, because they're more of a threat to society, and especially police officers who have heat on their hip. I tell them, you must not escalate that situation, because I could have been dead in that second. That happened to be a situation where the gun was put to my temple. I have guns pulled on me a number of times, driving around LA. So, it's time. When everybody else started paying attention to what Black folks been talking about for a long time in terms of police brutality and in terms of systemic racism, in terms of how we are treated differently than maybe our white brothers and sisters, it was time. So I had so many white friends calling me and asked, "So is it really like that this summer?" I'm talking about, and how do you feel about that? And I said, I'm just glad y'all finally getting on board. This is real.
Exactly. It's what we live with every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. Wow. It's just so tragic. And it's just unfair, the hatred that people have just simply for the color of one's skin, because, at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all the same. We all bleed red blood. Wow. And it's just, that racism, but that's just inbred into people. And we just have to now find a way that now, as you said, we're making a noise. The squeak is here. Let's get it done. Let's make these changes.
I want to bring it back full circle. It's why I started with the work you all are doing at the Robey Theater, because the work we do as artists, I've always believed artists, whether it's performing artists like we are, or painters or writers, poets, we need those expressions in society, because when times are hard, when we think we're taught, whether it's racism or it's child, whatever it is, whatever the issue may be, the dark times in our lives, we need artists to bring us out of that. We need artistry to give us an opportunity to escape. And this time, more than any time in the last 100 years, especially, this time of the pandemic and being isolated, and this year of loss and livelihoods, this is the time when artists need to speak, and artists need to find a way to stay afloat, as you have, as all of you have at the Robey Theater, doing these Zoom conversations and Zoom performances. But it's critical, it's imperative, it's necessary. That's how we dance. That's how we literally and figuratively, that's how we navigate this world, this thing called life. It's how we get through without losing our sanity.
Yeah, you're right. Because without our creatives need a creative outlet. And so we have to be creative, or else we just wither.
That's right.
And withering is not allowed.
Withering is not allowed.
No withering, no withering. Well, now let me ask you this. Now, you are a true multi-hyphenate in the entertainment industry in every sense of the word. You're an actor, a director, and writer-producer. So now one of the endeavors that you're launching, and we just touched on it a few moments ago, is that you're doing a remake of LA Law.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, well, can you tell us a little bit about this
I can
remake?
tell you
Like
a little something.
specifically, are you gonna?
No, no.
Huh?
Listen, I give all credit to Anthony Hemingway. Anthony Hemingway, if you don't know this brother, is a beast. He directed Red Tails about the Tuskegee Airmen, produced by George Lucas a few years back. He just now finished producing and directing the Genius series on I think the National Geographic Network about Aretha Franklin, starring Cynthia Erivo. He had a deal at 20th Century Fox Studios that owned LA Law, and he approached me about, and it was just right after the social unrest of the summer, about doing a reboot for LA Law. And he had been working on this for a few months with Stephen Bochco, who created LA Law, who passed away 2 years ago. But his widow, Dana Bochco, who runs his company, who's a fantastic producer in her own right, and his son, Jesse Bochco, who's an amazing director, they were developing it. And he reached out to me, said, I want to do a reboot, and I want to access this world through your character, through Jonathan Rollins. And LA Law is an ensemble show. But he thought it would be interesting to access the world through this character that I played, Jonathan Rollins. And, I have to tell you, Melina, that came to an end in 1994. LA Law was 7 years. It was 8 years. I did 7 of those 8 years. And for those last 27 years or so, I did not want to play a lawyer because I did it for 7 years. I did not want to repeat myself. So I wasn't really in the mindset to say yes, but I said, I want to hear this brother Al. How do you see it? What's your vision? And as we were talking, I literally happened to be just coincidentally driving by 20th Century Fox Studios where we shot that show for 7 years. I shot for 7 years. And the more, as I was thinking, because of the social unrest that was going on in the world, I said, again, because LA Law was very groundbreaking, we dealt with very topical issues. I said, maybe now's the time to revisit the show. And there are a lot of messages and a lot of storylines that need to be told, that need to be shared. That we need to kind of uncover and get underneath and explore and analyze different people's perspectives of what's happening in the world today. So in that moment, and also part of as an artist, as an actor, I just didn't want to repeat myself. It's why I said no for so long. And the only time I played a lawyer in 27 years was in When They See Us. And because Ava DuVernay is a dear friend of mine, and I wouldn't say no to her. And she's a brilliant filmmaker and storyteller. And the story was too important. And it was a different kind of lawyer, so I didn't have a problem doing that. But it was an issue of me not wanting to repeat myself, but it just made sense. It's the right time, and we are now developing it with ABC.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, you've actually answered some of the questions that I had about it.
That's why I just kept talking. I said, let me just keep getting information.
Right, and there it is. You just knocked it out. So basically, there's that. Let me ask you, are there any other little nuggets specifically that you can share with us that we should expect to see? I mean, obviously you'll be acting in it. Correct. Yeah, obviously you will be acting in it.
Yep.
Correct in that? Okay.
Executive producing and acting in it.
Executive producing. Okay.
For sure. And Corbin Burnson, if you remember the old show, the two of us will be these two people who are now senior partners at the same firm, McKinsey Brackman. There's not a lot I can say, but I can tell you we're developing it with ABC. We have yet to get the green light. I mean, it's all happening fast, but we have to get the green light from ABC to shoot the pilot. Then once we shoot the first episode, they'll look at it and decide if they want to pick it up for a series. So we still got to jump over a few more hurdles, but we are deep into it and everybody's incredibly enthusiastic about it. I will tell you that the producing team and Fox Studios that are developing it, you sell it to a network, So we pitched to ABC. It was our first pitch, and within 3 hours, they said, we want it. Don't sell it to anybody else. Take it off the table. So they're very excited about it. So I'm hyped about it.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I think I'm looking forward to it, especially as you said, with everything going on right now, just because we see with like Chicago PD, and we see, everything addressed from that standpoint. Bull, which I love, All Rise. We that's the judicial standpoint. We have the police standpoint, but we don't really see it from the lawyers, the legal end of it. So I'm really excited to see that.
When we do see it, it's great. My daughter was just asking me, she said, like, what does ABC have like that? And I said, well, Scandal. What is it? How to Get Away with Murder. So a lot of these shows LA Law spawned, which is exciting, to begin to come full circle. Law and Order, of course, on NBC, they've been on for 300 years, right? It's been a long time.
You know, LA Law was amazing. And actually, this is a little aside, is actually LA Law inspired me when I went to the University of Virginia, and I was a double yeah, and it inspired me to become, one of the reasons I became a lawyer. Well, was study to become a lawyer. And in my essay, and because you have to write an essay for UVA. And so in my essay, I didn't have any legal experience. I mean, my uncle had a law firm, but I wrote, well, I've been watching LA Law and I really love the characters and the storyline there. So that's why I want to be, I mean, I expanded on it. So you encouraged that. That show encouraged that.
Oh, I love that.
So it really, it touches people's lives and you just don't even know. So I'm looking forward to what it's going to bring awareness to.
You really don't know. I am forever grateful for the opportunity when Stephen Bochco made the decision to hire me. It is absolutely, and I've said this many times, this because it's very true, changed my life. To this day, there are doors open to me this day that are open because of the success of that show and being a part of that ensemble. So I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, you just never know in this industry where an opportunity is going to come.
And how if it'll last. You know,
say that again.
If it'll last. What I mean by that is it's one of the things I say to young actors all the time. Focus on the work. You know, I have a friend of mine, Talia Maor, who's like family, and she's a young woman, and she said that she was telling me recently that she wanted to try acting. She'd never acted before. And by the way, quick aside, I'll come back to that. Quick aside, if you haven't seen United States versus Billie Holiday, the Lee Daniels directed, I watched it last night. Brilliant. That triggered a thought because Andra Day, who plays Billie Holiday, has never acted before. It's her first role, and it's one of the best performances I've seen in years. She'll probably win the Academy Award for it. But back to my friend Talia, she said she wanted to kind of get into the acting. She wanted to try it. And my first question to anybody, she'd never trained or anything, but she wanted to do it. And to her credit, she said, I want to do it before it's too late. I don't want to have regrets down the road. My first question always is, do you want to be famous or do you want to act? Do you want to be an actor or do you want to be a star? Because there is a difference. It's a huge difference. Are you focused on the work or do you just want the fanfare? And it's important to know that. If you want celebrity, that's fine. You know, listen, I don't begrudge that, but know that may be a different path, and it will be a different path because your choices, your desire is going to inform your choices, what you say yes to. Do you want to go do theater and do 8 shows a night? And which is a lot of hard work, or do you want to be something easier? It's never easy doing work on a set, but it's easier than recreating that night after night after night, 8 times a week in the theater. So if I think if people decide what they want to do, then it'll help them build a career and have it be long lasting or not, have longevity or not.
Yes, it will. And that's really good advice to ask people. Just first, do you want to be famous or do you want to act? Because like you said, there's definitely a difference. And a lot of people, I know there are some new people in the audience who have expressed a desire to act, that they just want to move to LA and think that things just, once you get off the airplane, that things just magically happen. And it's like, no, it doesn't happen that way. There's a lot of work involved. So yeah, that wisdom to new people is much needed.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're willing to put the work in, then you'll be happy if you can perform. If you can perform, on the street corner or like in your garage, if on a Zoom right now, you'll be happy. But also if you want to build a career, be honest about that. Building a career is different than being a star. But if you want to be, if you're chasing fame and celebrity, that's fine too. But just be honest about it, because it'll make a difference in your pursuit. Absolutely.
So now, one of the things I know that it is absolutely fair to say is that you live life with a passion, sir.
Do I?
Absolutely. Yes, you do.
I like to think so. Yeah.
And it's my understanding that you are the executive producer of an Emmy Award winning series called Give.
Oh, yeah.
That aired in 2020 on the OWN network. And now new episodes are going to be coming in 2021. And they're promised for 2021. And I just want to know, can you tell us about what exactly that project is and what was your passion that led you to that?
Yeah, well, you're right. It's called Give. It ran on NBC for 2 years and we won the Emmy Award for Best Family Show. I have a business partner. His name is Gary Reeves, and he came to me with an idea. And it's one of those things, be careful what you wish for, because he had the idea to basically have a show where you have one celebrity, two nonprofits, and that celebrity goes into both nonprofits in that 30-minute show, and he or she kind of looks under the hoods, kicks the tires, see what work they're doing, where they may need help, where they may need assistance, whether it's financial or advice or whatever, what you may have, or material awards or assistance. And at the end of that 30 minutes, that one celebrity will decide how he's going to split whatever that monetary gift is. It's usually a monetary gift, $50,000, $100,000. Maybe this foundation needs it more. It's a very basic concept, but it was his idea. So he said, I got this idea and I got the money. I was like, oh man, because in business, but especially in Hollywood, there's no shortage of ideas. The issue is always finding somebody to finance it. So he basically said, you call yourself a producer, here's the idea, here's the money, we'll make it happen. So what am I gonna do with that? I said, okay, I gotta find a way to make this work. So we ended up partnering with another company called Bungalow Media out of New York, and we produced, and we're very proud of how it's come together. So we are now, as you said, it will now be on the OWN network, the first 2 seasons that were initially on NBC, and then we'll shoot more episodes for specifically for the OWN network.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. No, just.
No, I tell you, what I loved about that is, I often wonder, we were raised to believe, and it's a biblical tenet, that to whom much is given, much is required or expected. And I often wonder, so what do you do with if you've been given a lot or something to work with, what do you do with that? And I never wanted to start my own foundation. I have a number of friends who have their own foundations, and they always tell me it is a full-time job. Your heart is full and you want to be able to give back and be philanthropic, but how do you do it wisely? How do you do it smartly? How do you manage your time so you can really make a difference and make an impact? And I struggle with that. And for me, the show Give that we're talking about is a win-win situation. It's a win-win-win situation, because every show we have 2 different foundations. We do 22 shows. We have a whole slew of different foundations, different organizations that are doing incredible work in their communities. They get a chance to be highlighted. Number one, the foundation gets highlighted, the charity, the nonprofit, the celebrity gets highlighted, and the people that the charity, their constituents are highlighted. So that's why I say it's a win-win-win situation. And it just makes me feel good to be able to give back in that way.
Oh, yeah, I know giving just does feel good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Just helping people. I love giving gifts and giving cards. It just does something. It doesn't matter whatever happens, but I just feel like I've made a difference. And I know that's what Give is basically about. It's about helping, just like you said. So how do you vet what organizations need Give, could use Give?
Well, I'll tell you, the first 2 seasons, they were based on relationships, people we all knew, the other producer, people on the producing team. And, we just based on relationships. I heard about this organization, they need help. I heard about this one, they need that. That'll be a good one. So that's still part of it. It's still another 50 organizations we're going through. So we're not in need of new ones now, but we will be. So I'm not sure how we'll lay that out, but we will.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I know a couple of people because I was talking about Give, let me try to find it. So I was trying to find it, and a few people have seen it and they loved it on Saturday morning. It's good to, you wake up on Saturday and it's like, oh yeah, it's Saturday. Let me get
that's
my day
exactly right.
started.
You said a mouthful, because we initially pitched this all around town, and we initially pitched it as a nighttime show. The initial pitch was, it's Shark Tank for philanthropy. But NBC came around, they said they saw it as a daytime show, and they were absolutely right, for the reasons you're saying right now, Melina, because it's feel good TV. It's feel good TV. You don't want an edge. You don't want someone like Simon Cowell used to be on American Idol, or Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank, scowling and being hard, and it's philanthropy. So it fit in the Saturday morning DNA.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now with so much on the news with the pandemic and the impeachment and election and just, oh my good, protests and like so much negativity. Can we just have something to just make us feel good about ourselves and just make us take a breath, even if it's in a stupid mask, but at least we can exhale a little bit and just have some joy. So thank you for doing that show. And I look forward to watching the new seasons.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And now you said that the new seasons are going to be on OWN?
On OWN, right.
On OWN.
WN,
okay.
Yeah. The Oprah Winfrey Network.
Yes, we love Oprah. well
Yes,
over.
ma'am.
So, and we have to check out ABC and OWN.
And there's some more stuff coming up. Yeah, but we can't talk about that yet.
Okay, we won't talk about that. But also we can delve into you on Self-Made, which is on Netflix, which is an amazing 4-part series. I mean, I want to know if, I know it's a kind of a touchy subject. It was usually people, like, for example, Bridgerton gets to go on for 8 more seasons. Now, this one is about the life of Madame C.J. Walker. So it kind of ended with her life ending. So is there a way that it could continue possibly, or is that kind of the end of that? Your character in there, by the way, was something.
Yeah, you're talking about C.J. Walker, Charles Joseph Walker.
Yes, he was
yeah,
a mess.
he was a mess. I don't to answer your question. It's hard to no. I don't think so in terms of this production team and in terms of that story. The typical format today, or the traditional format, what's become tradition, is maybe 10 episodes, 4 episodes, 8 episodes. A limited series is the term. These long series, like back in the LA Law, back in the day in the 80s and 90s, we do 22 episodes a year, and in the 70s it was 26 episodes a year. Those days are dwindling. They're not gone, but they're dwindling. So I don't know in terms of that, but I would tell you, Alelia Bundles, who's the granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker, she wrote the book that Self-Made was based on. Alelia Bundles, and she is now writing a book based on Madam C.J. Walker's daughter. Might even be out by now. Her name was Lelia Bundles, and she was like the queen of the Harlem Renaissance. You can imagine being the daughter of the first female millionaire, not black female millionaire in the United States. Black, that's an amazing feat. And so imagine being flush and all that cash and all the prestige that comes with it, and rolling around the Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance. So it's going to be a great book, and I know she's writing that right now. So that's the continuation of Madam C.J. Walker's story.
Okay, well, Tiffany Haddish, she actually did, and she's a good friend of mine. We actually did a play together and a show. Shelley Garrett's Beauty Shop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were both in that, and I played Mrs. something, Mrs. Harrington or something. I was Mrs. something, with my fur coats and all of that. But anyway, she did a fabulous job with portraying, the luxury, the opulence of what Madam C.J. Walker had created and what she wanted in a salon. Like when it was opened, it was amazing. And just to think that at that time in the early, 1900s, that was quite a feat. And I think that it was the way that the cinematography was done, the costume design, just the whole production. It really, made you feel good as a Black person. And it actually made me kind of wish for a moment. It's like, wow, I wish I had been around in Harlem during that time. That looks like that was a good time.
Well, there's a lot to that self-expression and self-identity and strength of a community. When you work, this is before integration. So there's a lot to that. Some say, I wish I was around at that time, because we pulled ourselves up. We supported each other in a different way than we do today. And I want to give a shout out to Octavia Spencer, who of course played Madam C.J. Walker, because she was the one who was a producer. I was not a producer on this. She was a producer on Self-Made, as was LeBron James. And she was the one who called me and said, listen, I just want to let you know that, we're doing the Madam C.J. Walker story and I'm a producer on it. And I give her props for that. I have to just share this with you because it's a great example of just looking out for each other, talking about supporting each other. Mm-hmm. And she said, listen, I'm a producer on this. I know what's in the kitty. I know what kind of money they got. So you go get your mother money. No matter what they offer you, you make sure you get what you're supposed to be paid. And I appreciated that, because what she was saying was, sister to brother, I got your back. And just know, make sure you get what you deserve. And I appreciate that. So it wasn't one of those crabs in the barrel situation where I got mine. So, you're on your own. It was just the opposite.
Oh, that is so beautiful. It's so beautiful when we help each other and work together, because there is that crabs in a barrel. It's just so hard. But when you have those light moments, that's like, it just reminds you that, what, we are a family. We all work together. We can just do this. We can.
And we're stronger together.
Yes.
We're stronger together.
Absolutely stronger together. Well, with that stronger together, I'm going to open it up now because I see in the chat that people are like, I have a question. I have a question.
I see them
So
pop.
we're going to open it up to questions in the chat. And Crystal is going to let me know who the first question is from. Douglas Heilman. I apologize, Douglas, if this is not correctly how to say your name. Douglas Heilman, compared to the characters they played in LA Law, what actors and actresses would surprise people?
In the new version, I assume Douglas is saying?
I'm thinking in the old version. So compared to the characters they played in LA Law, what actors and actresses would surprise people? So
Not sure
maybe.
and that Douglas, what would surprise people? I'm not sure if you mean if who's coming back or not. I know Corbin Burnson will probably come back in terms of the other actors. There's Jimmy Smits, Harry Hamlin, so many, Jill Eikenberry, Michael Tucker. I don't know yet, who will be coming back, but I'm not sure if that's the question Douglas had.
I'm not sure. I hope I hope that answers your question, Douglas. And Frank just said hello.
Brother Frank?
Yes, your brother Frank.
What's going on, man? So what is on the East Coast? 9, 10, 10?
It's 9. He just said congrats. You're holding it down. Thanks, Frankie.
He just wanted to make sure he was acknowledged. All right, Frank.
Yes. We know, and we know we have his painting back here.
Yep.
Okay, so our next oh my gosh, and now he's texting back with 2 thumbs up and a laugh.
I'm sure.
Yes, this is Frank Underwood's artwork back here. Okay, so our next question is from Sydney Davis, and she would like to ask her question live. Sydney, are you there?
Hi, how you doing?
Hey,
thank
Sydney.
you so much, Blair. I just love your work. My question is, how do you balance wearing so many hats, like actor, director, writer, producer, like within one project? Is it feasible to try to do so much, or if you're going to act, would you not direct, or both? So how do you balance that, wearing that many hats?
Sydney, that's a great question. My balance, the way I found to balance that is to delegate authority, to hire people who you trust. As a director, as a producer, as a leader, as an executive producer, the important thing is to make sure, and especially as a director, but as a leader, to make sure you have clarity in what your vision is. And more than having clarity for yourself is to be able to communicate that vision to the actors, to every department head, to the hair department, to the wardrobe department, to the lighting department, to the prop department. You have to have the vision, and then most importantly, be able to communicate it. You can't do everything. So you have to be able to delegate that authority to people that you trust, and make sure you have, to make sure you have a line of communication with each person. So there's a give and take and a flow in terms of what you can do. I'm about to direct and act in a film as soon as we can find the time to do it, that I'm excited about. And I've acted and directed in a number of different projects, and it's challenging, and in that case, you really have to have a DP, a director of photography, that person who's looking through that lens, who you can trust that they got the performance. There's always playback. We didn't have that in the early days when I started directing in the 80s, but now we have playback, and it's tricky because playback can slow down your day. So you can't watch after you do every take. I want to watch, let me watch it back. That'll slow down your day. It'll kill you. So even though you have playback, sometimes you just got to keep it moving. You got to trust your internal instincts that you did what you wanted to do, that you were able to watch and feel the other actors in the scene. But you really have to rely on that person looking through the camera lens, that you got the performance, and it's going to work.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Sydney. Thanks for asking.
Well, our next question is from Angela Bostwick, and she wants to know, if you had not pursued acting, what other career would you have chosen?
Oh, man. If I could have been an actor, I would have run away with the circus, and I would have been a lion tamer. Either that, or I would have, I was thinking about this, go down to Florida, and I wanted to kind of train the dolphins down in Florida. And all of those were inspired by movies I had seen. It's why I said earlier just how important it is. And I think it is a noble profession, what we do as storytellers, as actors, because it inspires people. It can affect change. And it does do that. I saw a movie called Day of the Dolphins with George C. Scott when I was a child, when I was a kid. And I wanted to train dolphins. And I considered that, like marine biology. and I wanted to go down to Florida and Orlando and work at SeaWorld. And the other one was Born Free, about the lions in Africa. Maybe wanted to, I had a love with the lions, and then as I got older, I just felt more and more about the captivity of lions and wild animals, how that was not where I wanted to go. I felt they should be free. And now here we are in 2021. You're hard pressed to find any circus in the United States that has wild animals anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's interesting.
Yeah, for better or for worse. As a child, I mean, it was mesmerizing and fascinating to see, the giraffes, the elephants, and all these wild animals. But it's probably the best thing for those animals not to be in captivity.
Yeah, absolutely. No, everybody wants their freedom. The animals want their freedom too. So.
That's right.
And speaking for everyone, we're glad you didn't go down that road.
Well, thank you.
We're glad you went into the entertainment industry and have graced us with your talent.
Oh, well, you're very kind. Thank you.
Thank you. The circus missed out. So
actually, some of y'all in the audience might remember, Melina, you might be too young for this.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
There was a show in the 80s called Circus of the Stars. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you? Circus of the Stars. It's basically Dancing with the Stars. Same thing. Circus with the Stars. And I was going to do that, and it was during the LA Law years. So this was late 80s, early 90s. And they said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Listen, I want to tame the lions. I want to do the lion taming thing." And they flew me down to Florida. They said, "If you do this, you got to spend time with the lions. They got to get to know you." And I remember when I went down there, they said, "Well, we've never really had a black lion tamer, so we don't know how they're going to respond to you." I was like, "Man, I'm an African. Come on, they used to hate Africans." But
right.
And I spent the day just kind of spending time going in the cages with these lions, and that was just one of the highlights of my life. I couldn't do it ultimately because of my schedule, but just to have that fringe benefit to fly down there and get in the cages with those lions was that 8-9-year-old boy inside that wanted to play with the lions, and I got that out of my system on that day, so I was happy.
Wow, you got to play with the lions. I mean, did you get to sit on their back and
No. It was literally doing some tricks with them, having them get up on the stools and everything, and having them run around you. And it was nerve-wracking, I tell you, because you don't know. One thing I learned about whether it's dolphins or lions is that they're wild. You can train them, but you can never tame them. And when people put the guards down, that's when people get hurt. So I knew that walking in there. So I said, I'm just gonna pray and hope it works out.
I know that's right, and it worked out. Well, wow, that's so cool. Oh man. Yeah, okay. So our next, I could go down a whole rabbit hole with that.
Go down a rabbit hole with that one.
I mean, I love wild animals, and I actually have over here a life-size tiger.
Oh man.
It's super, super cool.
We share that love of the wild cats, the big cats.
Yeah, they're the best. Okay, our next question is from McKenna Dilworth, and she wants to know, do you teach master classes, and are you a method actor?
Oh, McKenna, thank you for that question. I actually did a master class last week at USC. I have two kids who, one graduated from USC, one's a senior at USC. That's kind of how I got entrenched over there. But and I'm on the board of the School of Dramatic Arts at USC. So under that auspices, I did a master class there, and it was fun. I mean, because the work, I love doing the work. I didn't want to do for the kids, this is a different format, but I didn't want to, talk about my career and all that. We spent 5 minutes doing that, but I really wanted to spend time with the students and do the work. So they're about 7 or 8 because it takes some time, and they all had monologues, and they would do the monologues. And I actually brought my friend Kim Fields in, so we did it together. And Kim and I would give critique and some notes, and they would, take those notes and do it again. So I do enjoy doing that, McKenna, when I'm able to do it. And I never did before the pandemic, to be honest with you. I love to direct, and really a lot of teaching is directing those students.
Yeah, there is. Well, let me ask you, is there one little nugget that you could, throw out to the act? Because most of the people watching are actors. So one little nugget, just a nugget.
Listen, I'll tell you, she asked if I'm a method actor. And I guess, method is more of feeling the reality and being entrenched in the reality. And I would, I guess, given that definition, I would say yes. But The only nugget I would say is be as natural as possible, especially in film and television. You know, theater is a different type of artifice, a different type of presentation. That it's a little it's enhanced because you have to be a little bit bigger with the emotions and with your vocal instrument and your physical instrument because it's on stage. But to be natural, I mean, going back again to that Andra Day, who played Billie Holiday, just watch her performance. What's remarkable about it is she's never acted before, but she's a singer. You know, she's a Grammy nominated singer, so she's comfortable in front of the lens. She's comfortable in front of an audience and being on stage. But that other, I won't say otherworldly, especially when I see kids who've never acted, and I'm blown away by their sense of nuance and just being natural. It's something that happens, you know, sometimes when we do a lot of theater, we forget or don't know how. It's hard to transition when you're in front of a lens that's 2 feet from your face to just be honest. But again, I can't say enough about her performance. But look at that performance, because that speaks to somebody who doesn't have that kind of training, but just is able to just sink and sit in the moment and be honest and authentic and real. And I think that's the thing. If that's the North Star, because at the end of the day, you want the audience to believe whatever you're doing, and you don't want it to be clouded by technique or false instincts or impulses.
Right. No, and you honestly, you've mastered that, because you can go from character to character, and, you know, one minute you're a villain, the next minute you are just kind and sweet, and you just are a master at that. And that's so true. Just being true to who you are.
Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever the character is. No, sometimes, you know, when playing bad guys or negative characters, people, actors, they comment on the negativity, and therefore they can't. It's harder to get up under the skin of that person. It's harder to drape yourselves in the emotion of that person because you're commenting on their bad. That's why I would say you have to find something that you love about that character, that you embrace about that character, because then you can really, you know, embody who that person is. And sometimes if it's a character you're not comfortable with or don't like, it can affect the performance in a negative way, or it's the character of the performance is not as enhanced as it can be and probably should be.
Now, have you ever felt that a role, like, I'm sure you have passed on, but is there one that comes to mind that you've passed on because you just absolutely could not, would not, it just was not anything that you wanted to represent?
Sure. Yeah. I'll play a lot of different types of characters. I think it's important because it's life. I happen to be a Christian. That's my belief system. So I love playing bad guys.
You play them well.
Thank you. But I love it because I'll tell you why. Because when you play a good guy, what you see is what you get. That's the good guy. You know what you're going to get. With a bad guy or with the antagonist, you don't really know. It's the mystery. It's the power of the mystery. It's the gift of mystique, because you don't know if that person is going to come at you hard, come at you soft. They're going to kill you, scream at you. You don't know. It's always much more interesting and compelling and engaging to watch somebody who you don't know what they're going to do. It's the unpredictable aspect of it. So that's why I love playing bad guys. But anyway, forgot what the question was. But I
don't know. We're having a great conversation.
Yeah, but there's love in that. Oh, but I'll tell you, you know, I'm grateful for how things happened in my career. You're talking about LA Law. I was 21 when that show started. 26, 28 when it was over. And I had played a good guy for so long. Like, a lot of the roles I played were noble, upstanding characters. And as it turned out, when LA Law came to an end, I played a character literally the night we wrapped the last night of 7 years of that show. The show was going to be canceled. I got on a plane at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to rehearsal for a movie that you had in the clip up front called Just Cause, with Sean Connery, Lawrence Fishburne, a 10-year-old Scarlett Johansson, Ed Harris. And the character I played was a serial killing pedophile. My character, in that scene that you showed where I said I didn't do it, my character, Bobby Earl, was accused of raping and murdering a 10-year-old white girl in the South, in Florida. And Sean Connery, as an attorney, comes in there and comes in and visits me in prison, and he convinces him because he's a good guy. And I had that baggage or that luggage as an actor for 10 years. So people looked at my character and said, look, my visage, my face, whatever, what we know of that guy, he's a good guy. We believe he's a good guy. Then it turns out, once Sean Connery gets me out, that I had actually done the murder. I'm sorry if I'm ruining the ending for you, but it's been out 20 years. So if you haven't seen it,
go ahead.
But it turns out that I did do, and I come after him and his wife and Scarlett Johansson, his 10-year-old daughter at the time. And in that movie, Lawrence Fishburne was like the real a-hole of a character, and he was a cop, and he kept saying, this kid ain't right. He beat me up one time, talking about police brutality. It's a black on black crime. And but as the movie turned, he seemed like the bad guy, seemed like the good guy. At the end, it was just the opposite. I was this serial killer and this pedophile, and he was right all along. So that movie, Just Cause, on the heels of LA Law, completely altered and changed the trajectory of my career. So that's where, from that point on, so many of the characters I played, a lot of them are guys that you think might be a good guy, but you don't know. And oftentimes they turn out to be very negative and jerks and a-holes.
Yeah, especially like in Medea's family reunion.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, not nice at all.
Right.
Even in Madame C.J. Walker, not nice at all.
Those are characters, but I'm grateful to have changed it up. Like the character I just played on Broadway for Soldier's Play was a very noble, upstanding soldier. The character I'm about to play in LA Law is the opposite. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the expanse of roles that I've been able to play over the years, and I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, well, it's a blessing to be able to do that. It is a true blessing. Now, Deidre Nadaye would like to ask a live question.
Go ahead, Deidre. Where's Deidre Nadaye?
This is Deidre and Jai from Florida.
Yeah, hey, Deidre. You're in Florida now?
No, I'm in California.
In California, okay.
But I have a question about Petersburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my grandfather's from there. And so I was wondering how a young man like you actually committed to acting, being from Petersburg, Virginia. Like, what was the inspiration for you?
Oh, man. Deidre, thank you for that question. My mentor is a woman named Marie Manigo at Petersburg High School in Petersburg, Virginia. Marie Manigo was my English teacher. She was my mentor in a lot of ways. I was president of the student government in my senior year in high school. She really shepherded me through that whole process. She had outside of school, she had her own theater company called the Playmaker Fellows. So my first acting jobs were either in that high school. We did the Carousel. My brother Frank was watching. He played Jigga. I won't say that, but he played Jigga, and I played Mr. Snow, Enoch Snow. And Marie Manigo directed that piece. And then outside of the school, she had the Playmaker Fellows, and we would do productions outside that show. So all of that really whet my appetite for this industry. I knew I liked acting, and I would do plays in high school. But I started with Marie Manigo within the school, and then Playmaker Fellows, and I went on beyond that to Colonial Heights, where they had the Swift Creek Mill Playhouse, and then expanded a little further to Richmond, Virginia, at the Theater 4, and then after that, I went to college in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon and studied theater. Studied theater there. So, but I tell you, both my parents, my dad's in the Army, retired Army colonel. My mother was a soldier's wife, and really so much more, a fashion designer and so much more. But they both coming up, they were born both in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They both really aspired to be actors at a one point. But it was never a reality. It wasn't realistic for a Black man or a woman to really pursue that dream. It was very rare when people would come through, like Sidney Poitier or Harry Belafonte or James Edwards. It was rare. Nat King Cole as a singer. So it wasn't realistic, but they understood when I came along and said, I think I want to do that. So they were very supportive. They were my first managers and continue to be. My mother passed in October. My father's still with us and continue to be my biggest support system.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Deidre. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Deidre. Okay, our next question is from Dr. Hassan Khan. How would one get into producing?
Wow, is Hassan with us, or he typed that up?
You type that into, well, Crystal sends me a text
Oh,
of the questions.
I
And
have,
she's
you
like,
know, it's a good question. It depends on, well, producers in television are most often writers. So if you see if somebody's a producer on a television show, and usually if you watch any show, there are usually 20, 30 different producers. That means about 20 or 30 of those, or 18 of them, are writers in the writing room and on the writing staff. And you have one showrunner that kind of oversees it all. Movies are a little bit different. In film, producers are most often those people that help make it happen. Really, they help make it happen one way or the other. You may be the one who cuts the check. You may be the person that has a relationship with a star or a lead actor that they want to bring into the fold and they want to cast into the project. You may have a person. You may be the person that has a location that they want. They want to shoot at this mansion, and you say, "Listen, I want to be a producer." So you could be a producer in name, but there are many different kinds of producers. You have associate producers. You have line producers. You have supervising producers. So. But I think to answer your question, the briefest way is if you want to be a producer, just help get something made. And you can always negotiate that as a negotiating chip, but say, I want to be a producer. Just give me a title. Because if you want to stay in that game, it'll help. You can leverage that title to other jobs.
Hi, Blair. It's Hasina.
Well, hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for answering that question. Hi, Melania. It's Hasina from the League of Allied Arts.
oh, hi, Hasina.
How
Thank
are
you for
you?
joining.
You're
Oh,
quite
well,
welcome. Thank you for answering that question, Blair.
Absolutely.
And I love your acting.
Oh, thank
Good luck
you.
with all of your endeavors. I'm looking forward to seeing you in anything that comes up.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so I apologize. That was Dr. Hasina Khan.
Oh, all right. Gotcha.
Okay, so our next question is from Erin Burtz, and she would like to know, how would you suggest a SAG-AFTRA member who moved from LA to Little Rock, Arkansas stay in the game?
Ooh, good question. Depends on what the game is. I mean, really, it depends on what the game is you're looking to do. If you're looking to do theater, I would look for theaters in that area. If you're looking to do film and television, I would look for film and television opportunities in that area, which usually means finding a representative, i.e. an agent or a manager in that area. But SAG and AFTRA is all over the world. So I'm sure they're represented in those cities in that state. So it's just a matter of figuring out what you want to do. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So I'll often say, let's figure out where you want to end up first. That's why I said, do you want to be a star? Or do you want to be an actor? Do you want to just work in this new city that you're moving to? Or do you want to be the biggest thing going there? It depends. And either one is viable. But I would start with figuring out what the game is you want. What's the end game that you're looking to accomplish? And that'll help you figure out what that strategy and path is to get there.
That's that's definitely a way. And also, just to dovetail onto that, with virtual, with everything being virtual now, that's a way to stay relevant.
That's a great point. I was thinking about showing up physically and actually shooting stuff and doing all that. But yeah, especially with SAG and AFTRA, you can do that anywhere nowadays. So to that point, you can stay involved with the Robey Theater, and when they do work and do Zoom plays, that's one way to get that out of you, that love of performing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, love you.
How are you? I appreciate you. How you doing?
Oh, much better now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. What is your name?
Erin Burtz.
Oh, you're Erin.
I'm Erin. Yeah.
Okay. Now, where are you moving to?
I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. So the closest SAG-AFTRA is like Nashville or Dallas. So I figure I have to, create my own path. I have a lot of experience in production with Melina and Robert Townsend, and I've done stuff with BET, but I also have on camera. I have a degree in journalism, but I'm thinking that maybe production would be the best route.
Is there a lot of production there in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Well, my family is heavy in production here.
Oh, so you're good. You're dialed in already.
Okay.
It's interesting. I don't know the specifics of this, but in terms of Zoom productions, I have heard that SAG and AFTRA, once the pandemic is over, they're going to really kind of crack down on Zoom performances in terms of how we pay the actors, how the actors get paid, if they get paid.
Wow.
How the performances are exploited, how they manifest. How are people charging for performances? You know, it's in protection of us. You know, that's their job as a union to protect us. But that's something to keep in mind, that may very well change when we come out of this pandemic.
Okay. Erin, did that answer your question?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Love you, Melina. Thank you,
Love
Mr.
too,
Underwood.
All right, Erin, take care.
Yeah, that's good to know, Blair. I didn't know that that SAG-AFTRA was going to be making those changes, but I'm glad they are.
Yeah, I don't know what the changes are, but I just know they're keeping an eye on that. You know, they know that we need an outlet right now.
Right.
But you know, for instance, like this, I see this is being recorded right now. So you wouldn't, but people can record any kind of performance and exploit it and sell it and do anything they want to. So they're trying to, they just want to position themselves so they're protecting us as artists.
Absolutely. And that's why we love them. That's why we pay our dues.
That's why we need them. That's why we pay our dues. That's right.
Exactly. Let's see. So Carmen Hawkins has a question. Hi, Carmen. She wants to know, when New York City theaters open, how can West Coast folks know of future performances or your future performances?
Oh, well, you can follow me on my social media in terms of my performances. I'm always talking about that. In terms of when New York opens, that's just Google it. Google it. New York theaters. You know, whatever you're trying to look up. You know, what shows are on Broadway right now? Is Broadway open? You know, that's the beauty of Google. They'll let you know. There
it is. There's your answer. Okay, we're gonna do a last call for questions. Does anyone else have any questions? Julio Hansen, a member of the Robey Theatre Company, he wants to ask a question live. Julio, are you there?
Yeah, right here. Thank you so much.
Julio, what's going on with you?
I'm doing all good, man. I can't complain. I'm here on my 2 feet.
Yeah, I feel you.
So listen, you mentioned that you're a method actor, sort of a method actor. What do you do to shed those characters when you are done with the character and not bring them home with you?
Julio, it's a great question, man. It's a great question. I think the biggest challenge I had recently was a soldier's play, because the character Captain Davenport is the narrator of the piece, and he's buttoned up. He's a captain, and you see him, that presentation. Long story short, by the end, and he's the one that breaks the fourth wall and talks to the audience and narrates the story to the audience. And that final monologue, Davenport speaks to the audience, and he's just talking about, you know, all of the racism and the vitriol and the pent-up anxiety. By the very end of that, just needs to go somewhere. And it's not written in the script. But as we were in rehearsal, Kenny Leon, the great Kenny Leon, Tony Award-winning Kenny Leon, directed a soldier's play. And I said, dude, you know, part of this is me, the actor, after feeling this journey for 2 hours, I gotta let that out. Part of it is, I think it's right for the character. That's my instinct. He said, well, try it. Let's try it. So after that final monologue, when it just starts to boil up inside of him, Davenport, the character I played, just lets out this gut-wrenching bellow of frustration and pain, and tapping into that. So it's very emotional, and you know, the character, me, is in tears at the end. And you know, 8 shows a week, it's real tears. It's exhausting. And really, all of the guys. I mean, this cast, and Kenny and I, we did a interview the other day with David Allen Greer, who's also Tony nominated for this piece, who was phenomenal in this. It's emotional, and out of the 9 of us, by the way it's written, about 7 of us take a journey where, you know, you're just broken down in tears, and it's real tears. None of it's fake. And we talked about this often. It's a great question, and I appreciate that, Julio. Like, what do you do with that? So oftentimes we would just have to go take a walk. Just take a walk in between shows, just to let it go. And you got to reset, especially those 2-day shows. You got a matinee and evening performance. But it's kind of learning how to, and we're all different, learning how to monitor your instrument, your physical instrument, and your emotional, the emotionality that we all have. When you tap into it and you unleash it. Mm-hmm. How do you bring it back? How do you reconstruct yourself? and it's a dance. So it's very different. You know, honestly, when you do it, when you're doing work in front of a camera, it's almost easier because you can usually walk away and go to your trailer, and you're usually, once you've done it a few times, you let it go and you don't have to revisit it. You're on to the next scene. But it's different for everybody. But thank you for that question, Julio, because it was something that we had many conversations about it. You know, how to do this, how to deal with it.
Thank you so much for answering. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Now, I have a question for you about A Soldier's Play. Now, how much of your father did you put into your character?
A lot. A lot. You know, I think most of that character is my father. That was my life. You know, as you mentioned, he was at 28 years, retired as a full bird Army colonel, and we grew up on Army bases. And the very first monologue, you know, again, it wasn't written like this. You know, in fact, it says he's in his suit, and you know, if you saw the movie The Soldier's Story, or have done the play, maybe some of you have done the play, but in Soldier's Story, Howard Rollins plays the character, and the sunglasses he wears is a story point, and the fact that he's kind of intimidates the white men and other fellow soldiers, white soldiers. He'll wear the sunglasses to show that he's not intimidated by them. But anyway, you first see him, he's in this suit and he's in his uniform, and he's got his hat, his glasses. And that's how it's written. And I just saw, you know, it's a trap playing anything. It's funny, I said I'm a result-oriented person in my person, but as a character, you always want to find the emotion in that character and find the reality and the authenticity in that human being, and don't play for results. You got to find a way to get there, and that is the work. So when somebody, oftentimes as actors, we play smart or play angry, but you're not really angry. You're not really smart. In this case, oftentimes, and growing up in a military family, it's something called military bearing. And anybody who's either in the military or been around military personnel, you can tell if somebody's really been in the military, how they walk, how they talk, their cadence, how they salute. It's either real or it's fake. And you can tell. It's a subtle thing, but you can tell. And in terms of my father, what I wanted to do was not play the uniform, not just be a military guy. I wanted to find the man and the human being with all of those emotions and thoughts inside of the uniform, and then let that come to the fore. So in that first scene, I said, because of my dad, Melina, to answer your question directly, because of my dad, I saw that first scene when you meet the character as I would see my dad in uniform at a barbecue, just kicking back, talking. In this case, in the character, he's smoking a cigarette. My dad didn't smoke a cigarette, but I saw him smoking a cigarette, hat kind of cocked back, you know, just chilling. And then as the monologue continues, he gradually puts on the rest of his uniform and his hat, cocks it just right, puts the glasses on. So it's about seeing the becoming of this man that was inspired by my father, as opposed to playing a uniform soldier type character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense. So then I'm sure your father has seen it.
They're opening night. Yeah, my mom and dad. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did he have to say? Did he recognize himself on stage in you, or what was his commentary?
Well, his first comment was, that was the snappiest salute I'd ever seen, because I worked on that salute. But no, he was very moved by it, because as I said, it's a moving piece written by, it's a Pulitzer Prize winning play written by Charles Fuller. He was moved by it. And I don't think he didn't really, because I didn't imitate his speaking cadence. I wasn't trying to imitate him, but it was just more of the man I saw and I knew, actually. And I think he was more moved by what that play did in terms of representation of other Black men in the armed services, and in this case, specifically in the Army of that time. My dad was in Vietnam in the 70s. You know, this was set in the 40s, but it's still our struggles, very similar struggles as Black people today, Black men, and more particularly in the military. And that's what he dialed into. And my dad's a man of few words, actually. But he was very proud and moved by it. By the whole piece, by all the performances.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, did he know? I'm sure he knows now, if he's watching, that he inspired your performance.
Oh yeah, no, we talked at great length about it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. Okay, our next question is from Theola Bright. Theola would like to ask a question live. Theola, are you there?
That's a dope name, Theola. I like that.
I know, right? Theola Bright.
Where is Theola?
Okay, well, while we wait for Theola, we will talk about Akila Runnels' question. And she wants to know, what advice would you give to parents of minor children who want to become actors, actresses? And how can parents support their aspirations?
Well, I would tell you, I'm a bit of an elitist in that I love the theater. I often say, get them in a theater class, take them to the Robey Theater, get them on stage, get them in some classes and see how serious they are about it. If they decide to take their child into the business, and it is a multi-billion-dollar industry, understand that it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And what they're selling is your brand and your child's brand and your commodity. And if you're okay with that, it's cool. But I would say don't take anything personally. It's like what they can sell at that time. Is that are you the right look? Are you the right shade? Are you the right height? Don't take anything personally, because it's a business. And I would definitely say, if you're talking about kids in this industry, please just be them. Be there for them. Be there for them, because people are, people are coming at them different ways, and people, they want to make a buck, and it's what life is. And when children get into this industry, they're often dealing with adults, for better or for worse. And oftentimes I've seen so many kids who grow up too fast. Doesn't have to be that way. I mentioned my friend Kim Fields, like a sister to me. She's like family, and she was a child actor. But her mother, Chip Fields, was an actress herself, and is now a very successful director and actress. But Chip was side by side next to Kim every step of the way. So I think it's important, if you're thinking about getting your kids into this business, know there's no walk in the park, and just be there and stay in their face, stay in their head, understand, and ask them, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are people saying to you? What are they doing? Are they touching you the wrong way? Just keeping it real, because you got to protect these babies, got to protect these kids. Absolutely.
It makes such a difference. There was an article yesterday in TV One about Jaleel White, who was on Family Matters. And it was about, he was never going to, some people told him in production, told him that he was never going to be invited to the Emmys, that he was never going to go because he was Black. And who tells a child something like that? Now, why would you tell a child, especially a star on a show? But he remembered that all these years later. And it's just like you said, that you have to protect them from what they hear, the people they're around. It's so important, because for him to remember that and still be affected by it all these years later.
I haven't heard that. Yeah.
Say that again. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
You're saying he was affected by it still. I had not heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tragic. Okay. So
can you hear me now?
Theola, is that you?
Yes.
Theola's back. What's up, Theola?
In living color. How are you? I just want to thank you and the Robey Theatre Company and Melina. There's two movies, that you did not mention. 20 years ago, where you were really a bad guy, and I thought you did a great job. And that was, you may have been co-producer with Tim Reed. I saw it. It premiered on Tom Jones' Cruise. It was called Asunder.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you were a really bad guy in that. And also, I'd like to know, how can I get a copy of you as Black Jesus? That's one you produced too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, The Second Coming. The Second Coming. My brother Frank wrote that. He wrote that, and James Earl Jones narrated it for us, and the great Rosalind Cash played Mother Mary. It was a short film. Oh yeah, it's on Amazon.com right now. I was thinking I got some half-inch VHS tapes in the garage, but no, you can go to Amazon and Vimeo.
Okay, I'm a member of that.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Thank you so much for the golden nuggets.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for taking the time, and thank you for mentioning Asunder. And I do want to give Tim Reed a shout out, because Tim Reed is one of my mentors, who started his own studio, Black-owned studio in Petersburg, Virginia. I'm so proud of what Tyler Perry's done in Atlanta, and had a chance to go there for the opening of his studio last year. But even I remember on that red carpet, I had to let people know, I said, this is amazing what Tyler has done. And it really is. But just know Tim Reed did this first, and we want to give credit where credit is due. So Tim, we're talking about producing earlier. Tim was the one who brought me into that movie Asunder. And I said, well, can I be a producer on it? And somebody asked what is producing. And sometimes it's just like, if they wanted my acting services, I negotiated to get a producer credit, because I knew I could use that credit and leverage that down the road to something else. And Tim allowed me to do that. So Tim really gave me my first executive producer credit because I asked. And that's another lesson I learned in life, but also in this business. You never, ever, ever get what you're worth. You get what you ask for, on the upside or downside. If you don't ask for more money, they're not going to give it to you.
You have not because you ask not, right?
I was just going to say that.
You ask. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, well, I'm going to make sure I ask next time. To
All
be a
right.
producer, because I'm a writer also.
Oh, nice, nice. Where are you living? Are you in Los Angeles?
I'm in Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama. All right.
In
All right.
South.
Well, it's great to see you. I hope to work with you one of these days.
I hope so too. I thank you for coming to Miami many years ago too, to work with the kids at the Cultural Arts Center.
Wow, you remember that? Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you, Theola, for tuning in, and thank you for your question. Appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Melanie.
You're very welcome.
Excellent hostess.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, our next question is from
And
JC.
I saw you in the movie too.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, I was just talking about your part in the movie as with Mrs. Carrington, was it?
Yes.
I saw you in that movie. Yeah.
Which movie was that? Which movie were we talking about?
Oh, she was talking about me with when I was with Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, you? Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. I didn't play Mrs. Carrington. All right, good.
It was Mrs. Harrington. And I would speak with an affectation, darling, because I had to, because she had no friends, so. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Theola. Thank you so much. JC Cadena has our next live question.
Hi, Mr. Underwood. How are you?
Fantastic, JC. How are you?
I'm good. I'm from Virginia. I was raised in Virginia in Falls Church, near Reston.
Yes, indeed. I know it.
Yeah. So I understand that side of the country as well. Yeah. But my question is this: like when I get a script and I get a role, the first thing I do is highlight my lines. What do you do? What's the first thing you do when you get a copy of your script and you have to learn your lines?
Well, it's funny. The first thing I'll do is, well, if it's a project I know that I want to do, that's usually because I read it first. But the first thing I want to do is like, what am I doing? How do they see the character? I usually look at the first description of how the character is described. So I just kind of give me a point of reference. What are they asking? What am I doing? And then I just try to read the script from beginning to end. And I don't like reading scripts a lot. I just want to get the overall story. And then, when it's time to work on my scenes, I start drilling down on those scenes. And just, repetition is your friend. Just repetition. But the first thing I do is just kind of find out who is the character and how does the character fit into the world that they're creating. And then the next step is, as I said, read the script and really understand what is that world? What is the story we're telling?
Before you highlight your lines?
Oh yeah. Because to me, highlighting the lines, that's part of that's starting the work process. Before I can start on the work, I just want to understand, who are we?
Okay.
What is the story? What are you asking of me? And how do I fit as my little puzzle piece into this big jigsaw puzzle? So I want to understand the jigsaw puzzle first. When I start to color in my own little jigsaw puzzle piece, that's when I start highlighting the script and doing the lines. I learned something this last year. I'm sure some of the younger people watching do this all the time, but they have apps now. I think mine is Rehearsal. Rehearsal Pro is a good app to use where you can record your own lines into. Actually, Octavia Spencer turned me on to this, doing Self-Made. Record your line into the phone, into your app, and then give yourself space for the other person giving you the line in response. So you kind of read quietly to yourself so you have enough space, and then read your line again. And it's a great way to run lines. Oh, I'm sorry, just the opposite. You're reading the lines, that is your cue, and then you're quiet when you're recording it for your lines. So then you can just play it back over and over and over again. So it's been great. I started just in the last year or so now, so I don't have to always pull my kids or somebody off the side and say, let's run lines together. Liberating in that sense.
Yeah.
Now, what's the name of that app again?
Rehearsal Pro.
rehearsal?
There are a number of them, but that's the one I use. That's what Octavia used, so it worked for her. So
and that worked for you, because I found that I got another one. It was linear read or something like that. It was so complicated.
Was it?
I just felt like I couldn't handle all the you know what I mean? I couldn't do all that stuff. It had to be like, it feels like I have to know all this like technology, and I forget about all the acting part of it. So there was too much of that going on. So I just stayed away from it. But you like this, the Rehearsal Pro app?
Rehearsal Pro, it's easier. It's more user friendly. I haven't done that one, but it's pretty easy for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, JC, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, JC. And our final question is from Brian King. And he would like to know who inspired you as a child?
Oh, Brian, that's easy. I'd say my father, my mother, and in terms of acting, Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, partially to a great extent, their acting and the work they did, but also their work in life as activists, especially during the civil rights movement.
Okay. And now this is the final question for real this time, because there's always one last person.
No, for real.
And this is from Vanessa Johnson. And she wants to know, what is the best lesson you learned at a personal level from acting?
Wow, Vanessa, that's a great one to end up with. The best lesson I've learned, I don't know if it's one lesson, but I'll tell you, it's in a realm. It's under the same canopy, and it's human psychology. You know, I'm incredibly grateful for this profession and honored to be in this profession, because it's been a gift in life, day to day, with my family, with my kids, with friends in business. The work we do as actors is ultimately the study of psychology, of human behavior. And because it is our work, we understand it better. We understand it deeper than people who don't study or care to think how other people think and feel. It's what we do. It's our craft. So I'm most grateful, I think. What a great question. I think I'm most grateful for that gift. Because the byproduct has been very beneficial, I think, in my life, in my lifetime.
Yes, that is actually
so
absolute. Oh, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. How are you? Thank you so much. That's a wonderful answer. I don't know if I could talk, so
Talk,
just wanted to. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I love your answer. I feel like psychology is the roots of life. In every level, love, your family, relationship with friends, your marriage. And so your answer is makes so much sense. And it proved that you're a wonderful and a great actor, because you go deeper than just acting, you live it. And that's what I get from your answer. Thank you.
Vanessa, thank you. I appreciate that. I just think it's so important. I believe I said this earlier, that if we ask an audience to take a journey with us and we want them to believe us, we have to believe it first as actors. We can't be half-stepping. We can't be pretending. We can't be acting. It's not about acting. It's about, as you said, Vanessa, being. And to be authentically and to be honest, you have to understand yourself. You have to understand, you have to be introspective. You have to ask questions of yourself. Ask questions of yourself and others. That's the work I love more than anything. You know, whenever we do a play, especially when you have time to do table work for a week or two before you put it up on its feet, I love the work at the table to ask and answer those questions. Because, you know, once the train leaves the station, you start getting up on your feet and blocking it, you know, it's you don't have that time to really dive deep into the work. But it is the psychology of it that I love so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you, Vanessa, for your question. And thank you, Blair. You know, we so appreciate you being here for an evening conversation and, you know, especially taking time out of your busy schedule to just help us to learn more about you and the industry. And thank you for just being so transparent and honest. So I wish you continued success in all your endeavors.
Well, thank you, Melina. I thank you, and you did a bang-up job, did a terrific job. Thank you. It was fun just talking and chopping it up. I appreciate you. And again, I appreciate what everybody's doing at the Robey Theater, Ben Guillory and
Yes.
everybody, and everybody for logging in tonight. Thank you for joining our conversation. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And you continue to be an inspiration to us all. God bless you and your family. Thank you. And for everyone tuning in, thank you so much for joining us this evening. This has been a very amazing evening with the fabulous Mr. Blair Underwood. And we are a nonprofit. So if you would be so kind as to just go to our website, make a donation. We cannot do this without you, and we do this for you, as we are a community organization, a community theater company. So there is no dollar amount that's too small. Just as long as it comes from the heart and comes with love, we appreciate it all. So thank you for spending time with us this evening. And thank you, Blair, for spending time with us as well. And as I said, continued success in all your endeavors.
Thank you. You as well, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you, Blair.
Bye.